Hi, my name is Anna, and this is my reading YouTube channel introduction video. I don't have a name set for the channel at this point, but that's okay. This is really just an introduction to the channel, what I'm kind of hoping it'll be. I'm a big reader and I always have been. I've had some on and off periods and definitely some reading slumps and all of that. But I love to read, I love books, and I love talking about reading and books. And that's what I want to do with this channel. I have a couple of different ideas of things I'd like to do besides just talking about videos or talking about books in my videos. But I think one of my first videos will probably be a recap of my first quarter of the year books. My goal for this year is 52 books to read, which is an average of one book a week, and it's an average. So we're not meeting that goal every week, and that's fine. I read a lot of fantasy, but I will also kind of give anything a try. If someone wants me to read a book with them, I'm usually more than happy to do so. And if there's a book or a book club I'm interested in, then that's fine too. But fantasy is usually my top genre. I've been reading a lot of horror recently. I do enjoy some literary fiction. I don't read as much YA anymore, but I have read a lot of that. I do love a thriller, crime, especially if I'm in a reading slump, but it's not my main category. But I'll pretty much read anything. I love going to bookstores, looking through the shelves, looking at the books, adding stuff to my TBR. I use Storygraph and Goodreads, but I definitely have a preference for Storygraph, but I have friends who use Goodreads still, so that is why I'm still on it. I use a Kobo for my e-reading, so I'm not hooked into the Goodreads environment anymore, so I have to manually update whatever tracker or app I'm using anyway, so I currently just update both of them. I love the stats that Storygraph has, and I love all the graphs and all of that, and that's why I know what my main genre is, because fantasy is always at the top with like several more books than any of the others. I'm currently recording on my phone, so I can't check my current stats right now of what those genres are, but fantasy is still at the top, I believe. I spent the first part of this year reading, I think the first half of the, Wayward Children series, like where Every Heart is a Door, I believe is the first book. And I've taken a break from those, but those I read the first 5, I think, pretty quickly during the first of the year. So that really helped that number get a kickstart. But the first book I actually read was Wuthering Heights, but I started at the end of the year. Anyways, we'll get into that in another video. So I use a Kobo as my e-reader, which I love. I'll read physical books, which if I'm in a place that's really convenient to a library, I will get from a library. I love my library, but I get most of my ebooks through my library system anyway. If you don't have Libby, you gotta get on that. Even if you don't have an actual e-reader, you can still read through apps on your phones by using Libby to get them. Anyways, sometimes I'll have an audiobook. That's mostly for commutes or long drives, or if that's the only way I can get the book. I don't do the best about concentrating while I'm listening. So if I'm doing something else, like cleaning or knitting or driving, or if I'm on the train, like that works. But then on the flip side, if I'm doing something that takes too much concentration, then I also can't listen to an audiobook. And then I'll usually have a book on my phone. So a lot of My classic books, I read through the Serial Reader app, which, if you're unfamiliar with that, that is an app. It's free that breaks down classics into little serials. So you get like one bit every day, and it's like a 10 to 15 minute read throughout that book. There's no ads or anything, which is great. I paid, I think, $5 for the premium version after using it for a few years, mostly because I just wanted to support them. But I also liked being able to add books to my read later list. So that's an option. I don't have a book on there currently that I'm really reading. I've been trying to get through Dante's Inferno for a long time on that one. So I need to find something that I find more engaging. I read Dante's Inferno in high school, and revisiting it now on my own, even in the serial sort of method, is not really working. That's okay. And then that's usually my phone book, is through Serial Reader. I do also have the NetGalley app, so I'm currently reading The Children by Melissa Albert on that, because I have a free ARC of that. I don't know if it's ARC or ARC, and when I was thinking about this video earlier, I kept thinking, oh, I'm going to say ARC, even though I always want to do abbreviations as words, but ARC feels weird for some reason, and I'm not sure, but I just said it, so who knows? Who cares? Either, I guess. But I will never say GIF. It's always GIF. That's not important either. But, and then my current ebook and physical read is for a book club. It is The Bookbinder's Secret by A.D. Bell. I'm reading it for my cousin's book club, which meets on Saturday, which is the day after tomorrow. My audio book says I have like 9 hours left, which isn't great because that's kind of a lot of time for not a lot of time. For audiobooks, I usually use Libro FM because I love that it supports local independent bookshops. But this one, because I'd already purchased the book from an independent bookshop in a physical form, I, out of desperation, used my Spotify Premium to listen to the audiobook when I was on the train. So a little bit more about me. I'm a reader. I am also a writer sometimes, I guess all the time. I'm not always practicing that. So that's something else I'm trying to get into a little bit more of something that I also used to do more frequently. I do still love it and enjoy it. It's just not something, especially when I'm busy, that I turn to as much. And that's something I'd like to change. I'm a knitter. I've got a sweater that I'm working on right now. I usually am, well, you know what I like to say? I'm sitting, I'm knitting. And I do crochet some, but I'm more comfortable with knitting, and I've been doing it for a longer amount of time. Let's see, what else? I have 2 cats. They're precious, Orion and Astro. Neither of them are around right now. I have a wonderful husband, and I live in Georgia, but I took a little 7-year detour in the DC area, so I'm very familiar with that in Northern Virginia. And I also lived in Orlando for a little while for the Disney College program. And I have an idea of trying to see how many independent bookstores I can get to in Atlanta through the MARTA, which I'm kind of excited about, but it also sounds like a lot of work. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just, gotta find the bookstores, gotta figure out the best way to get there. I will definitely set some limitations. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna try to go to the Sweet Read in Woodstock and I can only take public transit, even though that's maybe not accessible by a MARTA bus at all at that point. I don't know, but I'm not going to do that. It would be within the MARTA Atlanta system. ITP. We'll stick with ITP for now. Maybe we'll branch out if we like, if we as in me, if I like that. I don't have like a favorite book of all time. That's really hard for me to choose. I could go over a list of 5-star reads. From this year alone, my 5-star reads have been The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. I just kind of pulled that up on my phone one morning for a reason I don't remember, but I hadn't gotten out of bed yet. And I was just like, oh, let me read The Raven. I didn't even do it on Serial Reader. It was just like a random webpage. I really enjoyed Agnes Auber's Mystical Cat Shelter, which was by Heather Fawcett, the Emily Wilde's author. I read that at a reading retreat. That was the book that my immediate small group decided to read while we were there, which was 2 close friends and a cousin who's also a friend. And I had just had unexpected gallbladder removal surgery. And so it was a very good, cozy book for that recovery. I loved the cats. I loved the Howl's Moving Castle vibes. I thought the world was interesting. I do like when it's like our world, but then there's magic. I do like, I don't want to say magical realism. I feel like I need to study more, even though I've definitely encountered that genre a lot before. I need to study up a little bit on what exactly that entails. So yes, that was a recent read. That was 5 stars, and I really enjoyed that. Let's see. There's a bookstore that I haven't been to, but I did find their reading challenge not too long ago through, I think, Instagram. And it's Bookish, based in Atlanta. And they have a reading challenge where I think you pick one book from 12 categories and you get a tote bag. But if you pick 24 books from their categories, you get a t-shirt. And there's some interesting books on there that I had already added to my TBR or had already gotten in some capacity. And there are a lot of others that I didn't really know about. So I'm excited to use that as a way to kind of broaden my horizons. I'm hoping to maybe join a in-person book club at a local bookstore. But I haven't really looked into that too much. So I am excited about one with my cousin. And then I also have one with some friends that we are just getting started with really this week. We're reading a chapter at a time for scheduling purposes, because one of the members was concerned she wouldn't be able to keep up with reading it as much as some of the rest of us, which worked out for me because I am also finishing grad school right now. And so that has not interfered with my reading as much this semester as it probably should have, but we're almost done. But the book we're reading for that is Assassin's Apprentice? I get that and the assistant to the villain one confused all the time. I just can't keep them straight. So my book club with my cousin is on Saturday, and independent bookstore day is also on Saturday. So I'm hoping on the way to book club, maybe afterwards I'll go stop at one and check one out that I haven't yet. On the way to our reading retreat that we did, we stopped at 2 bookstores on the way up and I think 2 on the way back. If I'd really thought about it, that would have been a pretty good like intro vlog, because it was in the Smokies and the drive up was a little rainy, but otherwise it was beautiful, and we just sat outside all day by a campfire, even though it was like 32 degrees, and read or knitted or crocheted or whatever, and it was really nice. We had a very cute little cabin. It was at the Romestead campground outside of Gatlinburg, and we just had the best time. And so now that's something that we want to plan on our own with, you know, our little group of 4, and then whoever else that we know that would also be interested in joining. But that actual book retreat was put on by a bookstore in Chattanooga, which I also haven't been to and found on Instagram, called Book and Cover. Everyone was really nice. It was a lot of fun. And I would consider going again. I'd really love to visit their bookstore sometime. And I do love Chattanooga. And it's not that far from, well, I was going to say Georgia, but it's parts of Georgia. Yeah, so I'm pretty nervous about this in general. I feel kind of silly making a YouTube channel, but it's something I've toyed with for a while because I watch a lot of booktubers and yarn tubers. I use them as like I'm working on something, but I need some background noise. And so I want to have them on and get some little cozy comfort, or like, oh, I want to knit and I want to watch something, but I'm not like up for a TV show or something, you know, reasons why people use YouTube. So I use those a lot. I follow a lot of booktubers that I really enjoy their videos, whether it's someone that I have a lot of similar book interests with, or even if I don't, there's a couple of booktubers that I love watching their videos, but we have pretty different tastes, but it's still really interesting to hear their thoughts and learn about these other books that I might not have heard about otherwise, or might not have picked up on my own. And then I have my booktubers that I have more in common with. And so I can usually gauge how much I'll probably like or dislike a book based off of how they feel about it. And so I don't know if I'll become either of those for anyone, but I thought this would just be a fun thing to do, just, you know, in my free time. And I love to talk about books, write about books, read about books, all of it. So use this as an opportunity to do that. And the goal is to be easy breezy about it, which I've been like trying to figure out where that's from, besides Easy Breezy Beautiful Cover Girl, like all day. And I think it's from Friends. Like it took me 6 hours to remember that. The goal is to be easy breezy. So we just have a phone on a tripod that we bought years ago. It's kind of broken right now. Lighting's not perfect. I don't know anything about editing. I used Audacity for a school project like 12 years ago. So the goal is to let go of some of that perfectionism, which knitting has helped me with a lot. But also to do that with this and to see this as a fun project. And, you know, this isn't my job or anything. And so hopefully that'll take a little bit of the pressure off, because it's not like I'm counting on this to be anything but fun. So hopefully that'll be the case. But yeah, that's, I was telling my stylist, I got my hair done today, and so I was telling my stylist about this, and I felt silly every time I mentioned it, or she mentioned it, but she was supportive. The like 2 other people I've told besides my husband have also been supportive, which I appreciate. But again, this is fun. So sometimes if I don't like a book, it might be a little ranty fun, but that's okay too. Sometimes you gotta let it out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little rambly introduction. And yeah, please, you know, like, this feels so silly to say. I know it's not, but it's just like, I've heard that so many times from other people, it feels silly for me to like implore others. Like, am I going to share this with people I know, hoping that they subscribe? Like, that's that's not your problem. That's my problem. So please, if you liked this video or are interested, I hope you'll stick around and come back. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for stopping by. Please like, subscribe, comment, whatever, share, and we'll see you next time.